Hello everyone, welcome to Nana's Tiny Kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how to do my chicken parmigiana. You know, I have noticed that I've been doing a lot of Italian food lately, but first we're going to start with breadcrumbs. I never buy breadcrumbs in the store. If you watch any of my other videos where I do anything that has breadcrumbs in it, I always make my own. Now with a chicken parm, I want my chicken to be nice and light and crispy, so I'm going to do a panko breadcrumb. So I took 6 slices of bread. I took the crust off of it because that's what makes it the panko, just the center of the bread. And it was sour. It was a loaf of sourdough bread, but you can use whatever bread that you like. I like the sourdough. It doesn't change the taste of whatever you're cooking, and it's good for your digestive system too. So I just ground these up, the 6 slices, and I put them on a baking sheet, and you can see it's just the white of the bread. Spread them out nice and even, and they're going to go into a 375-degree oven right in the center, and we're going to cook it for about 10 or 15 minutes. I'm going to set my timer for 10 minutes because what happens is the edges will brown up, and what we want to do is have it more even. So after 10 minutes, we're going to take it out and we're going to swirl it around a little bit and get all the darker, toastier ones in the middle so it gets a nice, even browning. In the meantime, I'm going to do the sauce. Now, when you make chicken parm or any parm, you don't want the sauce to be too overpowering. The star of the show is the chicken, not the sauce. The sauce will complement. This is a different sauce that you would use when you make your meatballs or whatever, spaghetti and meatballs or anything like that. Now, I didn't have any of my own sauce in the freezer from my garden that wasn't really finely crushed. So I had to actually buy a can of sauce. And I went with the Samorzanos, and I got sticker shock because they were $3.99 for the can. I was like, are you kidding me? Holy whatever. Okay, I like using the Cento because the Cento doesn't have the citric acid in it. And for anybody who suffers from like acid reflux, that's probably why, because they add that, and it's a good preservative for canning. But why add more acid to something that is already acidic? Okay, I'm going to put these in my processor. I'm going to add a little bit of water to this can, maybe about a 1/4 cup. Just swirl it around. Now, I don't want to grind this too fine. The reason why I chose the whole peeled tomato is because I want the sauce a little bit on the chunkier side. So we're going to give this a couple of taps and see where we are. Okay, let's check it. All right, that's good. There's still some pieces in there that are a little on the chunky side. That's what I want. Now I have my sauce pot here in the back. 1 can is not going to make a lot of sauce, so you don't need a big gigantic pot for it. In the meantime, I'll put a little olive oil. It's a really, really simple sauce. A couple of swirls of olive oil on the bottom. Maybe a little more than a tablespoon. And when this heats up, I'm going to add my garlic where I can find, I'm going to grate a little bit of garlic on the bottom of this. Probably, I want to say about a teaspoon. But you can certainly chop it up and add it to it as well. But I don't want my pan too hot because I don't want that garlic to burn. Now this is not, there's no onions in this. There's no really over the top when I make my other sauce ingredients. It's very, very simple. Swirl this around a little bit. Take this out. Beautiful. Now I did have a little bit of sauce left over when I made the cacciatore the other day because this jar was 24 ounces. And I want to say I have about a cup left. So I'm going to put that in there as well. Because I'm planning on making some spaghetti on the side of this. Okay, this is going to go. Actually, what I want to do is add my basil. Now you want to add at least a teaspoon of basil. Now my basil looks like this because I freeze it. I grow it in the summertime and we don't get much light in the house here, so it's hard for me to keep a plant inside. So what I do is I grow it in the summer and then I cut it all off, stick it in a Ziploc bag, and when I want basil, there it is. I take it out of my freezer and there it is. So I'm going to do a good amount of basil, fresh basil. There is no paste in this sauce, so don't worry about it. I want to be able to smell that basil. I want to say about 1.5 teaspoons of basil in there. Now I'm going to add my sauce. Add this sauce. Beautiful. Give this a little swirl. The same thing with my jar. Don't want to waste any. Give it a little swirl. Now I'm going to add about 1 teaspoon of salt. It was a little bit less than 1 teaspoon of salt. Now I'm going to add about 1.5 tablespoons of sugar. This is going to be a sweet and light and delicious, really, really easy sauce. Where's my stirrer? My broken spoon. It's funny, you can have like all the utensils in the world, but I tend to use the ones that should have been replaced a long time ago. All right, I want to bring everything to the top, the garlic, the basil. And I'm going to go grab my herb little containers so I can throw some oregano in. So forgive me if I'm off camera for a second. Oh, here we go. I keep all my goodies in here, as I added to the collection over the years. Where are you, oregano? Ah, oregano. I'm going to do a little pinch of oregano, maybe about 1/4 teaspoon. I want the basil to be more of the flavor in the sauce than the oregano. You can add a chili flake to this if you want. I probably would, but I'm trying to hold myself back because I have been having a lot of chili flakes in these recipes. Now I'm going to get a spoon and give this a taste. This is going to go on low for 1/2 hour, uncovered. Where's my spoon? I just want to make sure that I have enough flavors in there. Should be able to taste the garlic and the basil and the sweetness of the sauce is delicious. Now at this point, if you really want to get aggressive, which I've been thinking about it, I might put a little swirl of red wine in there just to kick it up a notch. Okay, this has got 3 more minutes on those breadcrumbs. Let me get you out of the way. Tiny kitchen. Put you up here for a second. And let's check these breadcrumbs. I'm going to take them out. And you'll see what I mean about the toasting around the outside. The browning around the outside. Wow. Glass is fogged. Okay. Now I had, when I made my last batch, just a little spatula, and I'm just going to move them around a little bit, break them up. You can see the little brown around the edge. I want them to stay nice and light and fluffy. When I do my meatloaf or my meatballs, I use untoasted. Because when you don't toast them, then you don't have to like soak them in milk to get the moisture because the bread is already moist. Okay, I'm going to spread them out again. probably about 7 minutes. You want to keep an eye on it because when I make a big batch, I have to up my time, obviously, because it takes time to get through all of the bread to get it nice and toasted. So I'm going to put these back in and reset this timer for another 5 minutes. We'll have our beautiful breadcrumbs. Voila! Okay, when I come back, I'm going to have these breadcrumbs all nice and cooled off, and we're going to set things up to get our chicken all fried up and put our Parmesan together. I'm excited. So I pulled the breadcrumbs out of the oven, and it was exactly 15 minutes. So this is what I got. They're nice and light and crunchy. I just let them cool off for a few minutes. I had some, I put on this dish as many as I think I'm going to need to do my cutlets. The rest of them I put in a Ziploc bag and I put in my freezer for the next time. Okay, over here I have 2 eggs that I whipped up, and I have my cutlets over here. There's only 4 here. We raise our own chicken, so this morning I was cutting up the chicken, and I don't know if you can see this pot in the background. This is actually like a bone broth. I just threw the whole carcass in there when I was done picking it to pieces. So I got these 4 cutlets here, and I froze other cutlets. But we're going to season up these breadcrumbs so they'll be nice and delicious. First off, I'm going to add my basil. Now, I explained to you why my basil looks sad is because I store it in the freezer. But if you go to the market and you buy fresh basil, I want to say about 4 medium-sized leaves, or maybe 3, and just, break them up, chop them up really good. So this I'm just going to break up and add this to the breadcrumbs. I had to pick the stems out too because I want the leaves. I don't want the stems. Here, found a stem, and you see the sauce is cooking in the background, and I did add 1/4 cup of red wine to the sauce just to kick it up a notch. But if you don't have red wine, don't worry about it. If you have balsamic, a good sweet balsamic vinegar, give it a little swirl. That'll kick it up a notch too. When I don't have red wine in the house, that's what I do. I use the balsamic. Okay, we're going to get this basil in here. I put it on a paper towel to try to get some of the moisture out of it so I can easily, manipulate it. And now I have my chunk of Romano cheese, which I'm going to grate right in here. I use Romano. You can use Parmesan if you want. I like the Romano better. It smells like Nona's house. I'm probably going to do, it's more than a tablespoon. Let it snow. My cousin used to put cheese on everything when he was little, the sprinkled cheese. And I remember him putting cheese on his soup. He would grate it right on there. I was like, okay, whatever. Now I'm going to add some garlic powder to it. Probably about half a teaspoon of garlic powder. We're going to taste these breadcrumbs to make sure that all the ingredients are exactly where we want them. Add a little bit of oregano. We don't want too much oregano. Oregano is not the star of the show. The chicken is the star of the show, and the flavor of the basil. We want that to enhance. And some salt. And a little black pepper. I was like, why is it so hot? I'm heating up the pan over here. Like, really? Outside right now, Mother Nature is being bipolar. Because either it's snowing like crazy or the sun comes out. Like, okay. Okay, I'm going to put some extra virgin olive oil on the bottom of this pan. I'm going to put a good amount. Now, let me get a fork so I can mix these breadcrumbs. Stir them up. Let's see if we got it straight here. See how nice and fluffy the breadcrumbs are? And they're nice and toasted, fresh. How many ingredients are in your breadcrumbs when you buy them in the store? Stop doing that. Make your own. It's easy. Okay, I think I want to do a little bit more cheese. It's very important that you're tasting your food. Taste along the way. And I'm going to use a teeny bit more salt. And a teeny bit more garlic. I was going to grate fresh garlic, but then I didn't want it to be too sticky. Okay. Now when I do these cutlets, I'm not going to do the flour. Most of the time when people make chicken cutlets, they do the flour, then they do the egg, then they do the breadcrumbs. I'm not going to do that. I'm eliminating that step. Like I said, I want them nice and light and fluffy. I don't want the breadcrumbs to be too dense on the chicken. Give it a dip. Go once over. I'm not pressing really hard either. I want them nice and loose, the breadcrumbs. And then it's going to go right in. Next. Don't press too hard. We don't want those breadcrumbs to be dense. We want them nice and fluffy. As you can see, it's the way that it's coated, you can actually still see the chicken through. Oh, these cutlets are beautiful. I'm trying to show you not only how to do this, but why. And that's very important. I look at a lot of recipes and I'm like, okay, so but why are they doing that? What is the reason for that? And if you don't have experience, I've been cooking for over 35 years, making all different kinds of recipes. And I want to know why. Get this last one coated. We're not pressing too hard. Nice and light and fluffy. See that sauce in the background? Gorgeous. There's nothing like when you go to a restaurant or you have chicken parm and it's a casserole of sauce and cheese and you can't even see the chicken. Ouch! Hey, behave yourself. I don't like that. I like to be able to see the chicken, taste the chicken, rather than have it smothered in sauce and cheese. Okay, I'm going to get these fried up and then I'm going to show you how to put it together. Okay, we're ready to put it all together. First I want to show you how gorgeous these cutlets are. They are phenomenal. See how they're nice and light and not like really dense? Okay. I just did, and I'm going to do again. The sauce has been going for about a little bit, probably about a half an hour. But I want to give it a taste because I want to make sure that it's the right flavor that I want for my Parmesan. I want the sauce to be on the sweet side. Oh, okay, that's delicious. Perfect. If you need to add a little bit more sugar, do it. Because the sweeter, the better. It's only going to enhance. And that little swirl of wine really did the trick. My oven is at 375 right now. Actually, I never shut it off from when I did the breadcrumbs. So it's nice and warm. And we're going to start building. Now, since it's only 4 cutlets, not too much building that has to be done. But I want to put a bed of sauce down first. I want to be generous, too. Because I'm not going to smother the cutlets. And here I have my extra sauce when I make the spaghetti later. for the side. Now I'm going to take the cutlets and place them right in the sauce. Let's see. Just like that. There's a couple of pieces of basil on there, fine. Now, I'm not going to put sauce on top of this until I put my mozzarella. I don't want it to be, like I said, smothered. So I'm going to take my slices of mozzarella and go right over the chicken, covering each piece, which is with as much or as little as you want. I haven't met a cheese I don't like, but I have to say mozzarella, anything with mozzarella and ricotta, you pretty much have me. Okay. Now that looks a little, let me see, I might want to go one more slice on this one here. And this is Palio mozzarella. Sometimes I use Galbani, but Palio happened to be on sale, so I bought the Palio. Now, I'm going to grate some cheese, the Romano cheese. If you want to use Parmesan, use Parmesan. If that's your flavor. I like Nonna's house. Nonna's house in Nana's house. Nice amount of cheese. Okay. Now I'm going to take my basil. Couple of pieces of basil. See, it's sitting in a nice bed of sauce. You don't need to smother it to death where you can't taste it, and it takes away from the chicken being nice and crispy. I mean, what'd you do all that frying for if you're gonna drown it? We don't want to drown our food. We want to taste our food. And if you wanted to, take a tiny bit of sauce, a little bit, if you wanted to. I'm going to do it, but just to show you. But I have a pretty good bed of sauce underneath this, so I really didn't have to do this. And this is going to go into the oven, 375 degrees, for I want to say about, we'll give it 30 minutes and then we'll check it. But I'm thinking 35 minutes. Just, you want your mozzarella to be nice and melted and incorporated, but not too melted where it's all runny and it's mixed in with the sauce. We don't want that. We still want to be able to see the separation of the mozzarella and the sauce. I was going to get an oven mitt. It's like, it's not hot yet, but force of habit. In you go. See you in 35 minutes. Oop. Okie doke. I just took the Parmesan out of the oven, and I actually had to change my oven temp and time because 375 was a little bit too much. I thought about it when I first put it in. I was like, 375, that may be a little too hot because I did not cover it. Sometimes I cover it with foil, but this time I did not because I still want the top and whatever chicken is poking through to still maintain that crispy. So 350 at, actually it was in, I think, 25 minutes. So that was the time on that. So I'm going to take this out and put it on a plate so I can show you, without making a mess, how gorgeous this is. Absolutely delicious. You see the basil in there, and you can still see the chicken poking through. It's not completely smothered. And the sauce, I mean, you save that for your spaghetti. And of course I have extra sauce in that pot. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a nice spaghetti on the side, and that's what's going to be for supper. So let me know what you think. This is going to be probably one of the best chicken parms that you ever had. Please taste your food. Let me know, like and share the videos if you're into Nana's Tiny Kitchen and you love cooking with me. I love cooking with you too. So next time I think I'm gonna do an Asian recipe. Let's get away from the Italian stuff for a little bit. And I may do like a General Tso's chicken, which actually is really easy. I can show you how to do it. But there's your chicken palm. Enjoy, everyone. Thank you so much. See you next time.